Om, the Vajrasuchika Upanishad in simple English. We begin the Upanishad with an invocation. O Almighty God, may my limbs, my speech, my breath, my eyes, my ears, my strength, and all my senses always be vigorous. The Almighty Param Atma is the Brahm of the Upanishads. May I never discard Brahm. May Brahm never discard me. May there be no discarding. May there be no discarding of me. May all those truths that are declared in the Upanishads live in me, dedicated to the Supreme Self, dedicated to the Param Atma. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. The Vajrasuchika Upanishad is part of the Sama Veda. It is a very small Upanishad consisting of just 9 verses. Its importance lies in the fact that it challenges and undermines the distinctions of caste based on birth. The Upanishad clearly rejects the notion of birth as a determiner of caste, examining in considerable detail as to who is actually a Brahmin. According to the Upanishad, only a knower of the highest reality, only a knower of Brahm, the universal supreme self, the Param Atma, can be called a Brahmin. The Upanishad also offers comments on the nature of the supreme self, the Atma. The Upanishad. I shall describe the Vajrasuchi doctrine. This doctrine, while on the one hand it blasts ignorance and condemns those who are devoid of knowledge, on the other hand it praises those who have the eye of knowledge with which they can see the truth. Now, it is well known that there are 4 castes: the Brahmin, the Kshatriya, the Vaishya, and the Shudra. And among these 4 castes, the Brahmin is regarded as the chief, as being superior to the other 3. This position is also in accord with the Vedic texts and is also affirmed by the Smritis. This, however, raises a very fundamental point, and that is, who in fact is a Brahmin? Who actually is a Brahmin? Is he the Jeev Atma, the individual soul? Is he the body? Is he the class based on birth? Is he the deeds or the actions performed in previous births? Or is he the actions being performed presently in this birth? Or is it the actions to be performed in the future? Is he the performer of rites and rituals? Is he one of these? Or is he something else altogether? This is something that needs further investigation. So, we look at each of these questions. Now, if we assume that the Jeev Atma or the individual soul is the Brahmin, then we run into this problem. The individual's form is one and the same in a large number of previous and future births and bodies, and because of this, the individual soul cannot be the Brahmin. Even though the Jeev Atma, the individual soul, is one, there is still scope, there is still room of its assumption of many bodies because of the stress and because of the pressure of past karmas, of past actions and deeds. And in all these bodies, the form of the Jeev Atma is one and the same. Therefore, the Jeev Atma is not the Brahmin. The Jivatma cannot be the Brahmin just because it is a Jivatma. then if we say that the body is the Brahmin, that is also not correct, because of the oneness of the nature of the body, which is composed of the same five elements in all the classes and in all the castes of human beings, right from the highest class of the Brahmins to the lowest classes of the Shudra and the Chandals. The bodies of all the classes are composed of the same five elements. All of them also have the same common features. All of them are subject to old age. All of them die. All of them have virtues and vices. All of them have different complexions. No particular complexion defines a class. No complexion being peculiar and particular to any class. It cannot be said with any certainty that a Brahmin will have only a fair complexion, that a Kshatriya will have only a red complexion, that the Vaishya will have only a brownish yellow complexion, and that a Shudra will have only a dark complexion. Anyone of any class can have any complexion. Further, there is the added liability of sons and other kinsmen being tainted with the murder of a knower of Brahm, and with other sins on cremating the bodies of ancestors and other kinsmen. Therefore, for these reasons, the body cannot be considered to be the Brahmin. Then if it is said that birth makes the Brahmin, that is also not true. For there are many species other than human from which great sages of diverse origin were born. We learn from the sacred books that the sage Rishya Ring was born of a deer, that the sage Kaushik was born from Kusha grass, that Jambuk was born from a jackal, that sage Valmiki was born from an anthill, that sage Vedvyas was born of a fisher girl, that the sage Gautam was born of the back of a hare, that the sage Vashisht was born from the Apsara, the celestial nymph Urvashi, and that the sage Agastya was born from an earthen jar. Among all these sages, despite their birth from such diverse and different means, they have all risen to the highest rank on the strength of their learning and their wisdom. Therefore, birth does not make one a Brahmin. Then if it is said that knowledge makes a Brahmin, that else also cannot be the case. Because there are many others, Kshatriyas and other castes, who too have had knowledge and who too have seen the highest reality, the universal self, and attained wisdom. Therefore, knowledge does not necessarily make one a Brahmin. Then if it is said that works and actions make a Brahmin, that is also not true. For we often see that work or action begun in the present body or accumulated during previous bodies or which has to begin in a future body, all this is common to all living creatures irrespective of their caste, and that all good men perform works and actions driven by their past karma. Therefore, work also does not make a Brahmin. Then if it is said that the performance of religious duties makes a Brahmin, this is also not true, because there have been many instances of Kshatriyas and others who have given away gold, which is an act of religious duty. Therefore, the performance of religious duties also does not make one a Brahmin. Then who in fact is a Brahmin? Who actually is a Brahmin? Just as a person sees clearly the fruit that he holds in the palm of his hand, in the very same way, the Brahmin is a person who sees the Supreme Self, who sees the Param Atma clearly and directly. He is one who sees the self as being without a second, as being without any distinctions of birth, as being without any distinctions of attribute, as being without any distinctions of action, as being free of all the faults, such as the six weaknesses: that of sorrow, that of delusion, that of hunger, that of thirst, that of old age, and that of death, and as being free of the six states: that of birth, that of being, that of growth, that of change, that of waning or declining, and that of perishing or dying. The self or the Atma is of the form of truth. It is of the form of wisdom. It is of the form of bliss. And it is of the form of eternity. The self is all by itself. It does not depend on anyone or anything. It cannot be defined or determined. Yet, at the same time, it is the basis of endless determinations and endless definitions. It functions as the spirit that dwells in all beings. It pervades the interior and the exterior of all beings like ether. It is both inside all and everything, and it is also outside all and everything. It is of the nature of bliss. It is indivisible and it cannot be measured, since it is immeasurable. The self, the Atma, can only be realized through one's own experience, and it manifests itself directly as one's own self, and through the fulfillment of its nature. That is, by fulfilling its nature, it rids itself, it frees itself of all the faults arising out of desire, it frees itself of all the faults arising out of attachment and the like. The self is endowed with the qualities of calm repose, of tranquility, etc. It is rid of, it is free of the state of being. It is free of hatred. It is free of greed. And it is free of being confused and bewildered. It is never confused or bewildered. The mind of a knower of Brahm is not affected by ostentation and show. It is not affected by self-sense or ego and the like. Only one who has these qualities, he is a Brahmin and none else. This is the view of the Vedic texts. This is the view of tradition. This is the view of ancient lore and history. Attaining the state of Brahm by means other than these is impossible. Therefore, meditate on Brahm, the universal self, the Param Atma, who is being, who is consciousness and bliss, who is without a second. There is no other like him. Meditate on Brahm, the universal soul, who is being, who is consciousness and bliss, and who is without a second. This is the Upanishad. This concludes the Vajrasuchika Upanishad. Om Shanti 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 Om.